Okay, it's better. Right. Okay, yeah. All right, it's the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
hello.
Will you take a look at that? Good grief.
That's better. That's better.
Yeah, marvelous. Yeah, we should go into rocket engineering, I think.
Yeah, that'll be next. I'm working on that.
Okay.
Right, I'm just getting this done. So just waiting for Kerry now. She should come on board in a little while.
Okay.
I'm sent to have a link, so I'll just make sure we got one. All right, here we go. And yep. But hey, Kerry. Hello. Yes, finally. Finally, we're all here. Can you believe it? Oh my word. Oh, what a palaver Facebook is. What a palaver. Unbelievable. Anyway, hello everyone. And thank you for joining us. This is a bit unexpected because originally we were going to go and stream straight to a Facebook page, but that didn't work out on Facebook. So the powers to be deemed it, and my idiot self just like it just didn't work basically. So what we're doing, we've got Kerry Ann from Sanctum. Hello, Kerry.
Hello.
And we've got David Hobbs from I've got it from the paranormal, from the UFO and paranormal Facebook page.
Essex UFO and paranormal.
Yeah. Essex. Yep, that's it. I should know. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is going to now start it off. So all right, and here we go. Even that didn't work properly. Did that work for you?
Well, yeah, I saw seconds going down and, big build-up, masses of excitement. And here we are.
That's it. That's what I thought as well. That's what I thought. Yeah, that seemed a bit glitchy my end. But anyway, well, that's the paranormal for you anyway. What I wanted to do basically was to come on and just like talk a little bit about the paranormal. And oh, Kerry's gone. What is going on?
There seems to be some gremlins at work.
There isn't there? This is so odd. Okay, we'll try again. Right. What I wanted to do was come on because I'm a new member to Essex UFO and Paranormal Facebook group, and basically wanted to say hello, introduce myself, and basically discuss with the man himself and with Kerry, who's also a member, about generally if there's any link, if they think there's any link with UFOs, with the paranormal, ghosts. Just have a general laid back discussion, not an interview. Not really an interview. It's just like kind of having a chat, asking what your group does, and what primarily you investigate, and so we can find out a little bit of background on that, and yeah, just see if there's any theories. Hopefully, if anyone has any theories and they're watching this, I've got 2 so far watching. Hello, it might be my mother, but then it'll be quite nice to hear from you as well. So if anyone's watching this, or then yeah, by all means, like, sort of let us know if you've had any experiences, and if you have any theories. I've got a theory, and I've wrote it down right at the beginning on my Facebook, which was called the Everything Engine, basically. So because I do think that everything is linked. So if I ask first of all, the man of the hour, David, your Facebook page, what is it about?
Well, it's quite eclectic, really. I mean, basically, it's for anyone to come along. They can speak about sightings. They can speak about whatever they like. We tend not to censor people. The whole idea really is to bring people together. The reason that we actually formed it was formed years ago, actually, by other people. Chrissy is one of them. Who anyway. And anyway, during the lockdown, people kind of lost their way. They stopped going out, and they stopped meeting as groups. And I thought, well, you know, what we basically need is we need community back again. So my whole idea of starting it up again was to form a community of like-minded people, get together. And it's not heavy, it's not serious, although some of it is serious, obviously. And start people. I mean, we have meetings every first Friday in the month. And my motto for that really is faces, not screens, which I think speaks for itself. So, yeah, just trying to get people together and talk. And so far, we've managed to do that. We've gone from 130 members when we started just over a year ago, and we now have over 1,100. So obviously things are working out quite well at the moment.
It's doing quite well. It is doing quite well. Well, that's nice. Yeah, if you can get everyone linked together, because there's so many people which have that have experiences, and it's quite a lonely old business, because when you do have experiences, and you know, you get a lot of ridicule, from people sometimes when you try and explain your experiences to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kerry, just to let you know, Kerry's just had to drop out. There was some technical issues that she was having on her end. I'm having a few myself, but yeah, so she's just dropped out. But she's going to be sharing this anyway. So this is going to be recorded. It's going out live, but it's also going to be recorded. Okay. So that's fine. Okay, so the majority, you do a lot of UFOs as well. They deal with people who've experienced a lot of UFO phenomenon.
On the site, you mean, on the Facebook? Yeah, certainly. I mean, one of the questions that we ask when people want to join is, have you experienced a UFO? And very few say no, not at all, ever. You know, some say, oh, possibly, and others say absolutely. And we've got a lot of absolutelys. So yeah, I would say that if I had to put a percentage on it, 80% of people on the Essex UFO site believe that they have seen or experienced a UFO, which is quite a high performance. But then again, they obviously would be attracted to a site with that title, wouldn't they? So what the actual percentage of people is, I have no idea. But on here, probably about 80%. Yeah.
So it's quite an open page. You don't from the point of view of, you know, there is on occasions people out there that I've also bumped into, which have you know, come up with seen stuff which they're quite convinced is absolute, you know, UFO stuff. But quite honestly, some of it you just think, really, you know, it's quite, you know, so like when you have like kind of, well, and I was in London out for the day, and I was passing Big Ben, and just happened to look up, and there was a UFO just, and it sort of landed on the top of it, and just at that moment, it struck midnight, and I was like, right, okay.
Okay.
But you don't. You don't cut the wheat from the chaff, as it were, by anyone joining. You just say, right, okay, you have an experience, join.
Well, let me say to you this in quite honestly, that some of what we call chaff and over the years has turned out to be very interesting indeed. Basically, because I feel that some people have a personal experience. It's personal to them. It's extremely, extremely real. And I think it's for a reason, that this happens. In fact, let me think now. The last case like that I had of an awakening about 6 weeks ago, and a very powerful one. Yeah, not from me, by the way, from somebody that contacted me.
Okay, by awakening, what do you mean?
I mean that certain things. Let me put it to you this way: if you suddenly see a crop circle and you've never seen a crop circle before, suddenly you're going to go, "Wow, look at that! I want to know more about that." Something to draw you in, the carrot on the stick, if you like.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Yeah. No. That's it. I can fully understand. I mean, it's a funny bit. Do you find it changes people, their experiences, and their outlook?
It changes some people totally. I'm thinking of one friend who sadly died recently. He was a rock musician, and he had an experience when he was about 6 or 7 in Southend High Street with his mother. They saw people looking up. He looks up with his mother, and there was a flying saucer. Well, I say flying. There was something there that had drawn the people's attention because it obviously wasn't normal. And even to his dying day, he was still totally absorbed with the question of UFOs. It has on some people a huge effect. Yeah, I mean, different people it affects in different ways. I actually had a UFO experience about 5 weeks ago. Personally, okay. I don't get that many, believe me. And I think, how can I say? Let's just say that maybe it doesn't affect me in the same way that it would other people. Obviously been around a few years and seen a few things, so I tend to work on the basis of what I've seen with my own 2 eyes and heard with my own 2 deaf old ears, and I sort of work from there. And speaking to very close friends who I trust as well, and listening to what they say. So I saw one myself about 5 weeks ago up at Sutton Hoo.
Oh yeah, Sutton Hoo. Yeah, I passed it. Do you know, I never went to see the remains of that boat. I haven't been to see the remains, but I passed it a few times on the road going up to Alba. And I used to travel up to Alba a lot. Yeah, lovely place, Alba. Brilliant fish and chips. But yeah,
talking.
Lovely. If you ever get,
and if you're ever up that way, there's a pub called the Oyster out in that sort of area, and the food is fantastic. This is turning into a beer and food.
Well, that's what happens when the thing is, right, when I've noticed as I get older, the priority on food and the time I spend thinking about food increases for some reason.
Well,
and I can't quite understand why it is. I find myself sort of drifting in thought about what the dinner's going to be in the evening.
Could it be that as you grow older, it's one desire slowly replacing another?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think you're completely right. Yeah, I think you're completely right. Yeah. I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly the stumps you're batting from. Yeah. I had a UFO. Because I don't like using the term UAP. Don't like it at all. I prefer the old-fashioned UFO. The reason I like UFO is because it is unidentified flying object. By saying it's unidentified aerial phenomenon, opens it out it's non-specific. It's just opened out. If I throw a stick in the air, that could be classed as a UAP. If a F-35A goes past us, and it's slightly at a distance, and I can't quite make it out, that could be a UAP. If I see a UFO, everybody knows UFO acronym would mean that is something which is easily identifiable. That's what I like about the term.
Also, can I ask you a question, because I have no clue? Why did they change it?
Oh, it was changed. It was changed simply for that reason. They changed it because they know that let me put it, Congress, including our government as well. It's there's so much evidence, and with the onset of mobile phones and the photography getting so much better and easier and quicker, people are snapping and taking videos of these craft, and you've only got to just put in UFO into TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, any of these social media, and bang, it's a wash, absolute awash with videos, reels of this craft, clouds which have a form which look like some kind of craft. It's just absolute awash with it. So when you've got a tsunami of visual evidence like that, and people are still classing it as UFO, it does taint it somewhat, and it does inset into people's minds that it's an invasion.
Oh, okay.
Now, if they call it UAP, they can then turn around and go, well, we know there is stuff out there that we can't, not all of it, but we know there is stuff out there that we can't identify. But the aerial phenomenon, as they're calling it, is not alien. Let's not tag it with the alien line. Let's just tag it with its aerial phenomenon, shall we? And it's just it's a nicer way for them. It's a more, what's the word? It stops any oh my god, it's alien. Stops any of that with the public. I think that's what they were hoping for.
Well, it sounds to suggest to me that they think the public might be not capable of making their own decisions with the things that they see with their own two eyes and hear with their own two ears. And
Yeah.
well, they think maybe they think the public would genuinely freak out if they suddenly learn that we had company. Yeah, there's many reasons. Who knows what they think? Do they think?
Well, yeah. It goes back many years. Winston Churchill, he saw a UFO. Margaret Thatcher. Now, when Thatcher was famously asked, and it was a reporter that actually wrote a book, and she was asked as she was going into a meeting, and they said about Rendlesham Forest, and they said, Prime Minister, is it can you tell us, is it aliens? And famously, she turned around and she said, my dear, I'm sorry, but you can't tell the people.
Yeah, that, as you know, is a title of a book by Georgina Brunei.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I actually did see Georgina Brunei at a meeting at Colchester UFO many years ago. And it was on that night that Nick Pope turned up, and he was the speaker. And yeah, so whether that was where I don't think that was where he met her, because I could see him sort of call, hello, so he know her. Of course, sadly, she's no longer with us.
No.
I could say sadly, so is Nick Pope, but I won't say that. I won't say that because I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. No. Well, that's fine. That's fine as well, isn't it? You know, this is just like really, David. This is just like kind of a chat because you've got tons of experience, tons and tons of experience, and I just like kind of it goes through my head, and I think to myself about different stuff, and a lot of people must be the same as as me, and think what is it? It's a nagging little hook in my brain that just keeps pulling and tugging and going like kind of what the hell are we dealing with, and so it's a sort of a discussion with you with your experience so that we can sort of maybe try and it's going to be at the end of the day, if anyone's thinking that we're going to come up with the theory and we're going to come up with a bona fide answer to what it all is, we're not. But I'm just hoping that maybe we can just put some theories out there and just sort of discuss them.
Yeah,
really.
I think my theories would be like a colander. They'll be full of holes, quite frankly, but I'll do the best that I can.
Fine. No, that's fine. Nothing is right and nothing is wrong.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. I had an experience with I lived in Clacton-on-Sea in Essex
Okay.
for a number of years, and down a road called Chloe's Lane, and had a parade of shops and a nice fish and chip shop just opposite as well. Funny enough, had a lot of really funny stuff go on there. Funny from the point of view of ghosty stuff. Now I spoke to Seventh Sanctum on an interview about all the ghosty stuff, so I won't go trawling all over it. But let's just say it was quite a spooky place.
Okay.
But in that same place, David, I remember looking up at the sky one evening, and I called. I saw some lights, and these lights were in a formation of three. And each formation was a triangle. And if I remember rightly, there was about 9 lights in each triangle, about 8 or 9. They were quite some distance away. They looked like very bright stars. But imagine geese, when geese migrate, the formation they take.
Yeah.
It had the same formation. And it was nighttime. So
Wow.
we saw these lights, and I shouted for Mum. I was like, Mum, get out here. Have a look at this. No one will believe me. You got to come and have a look. So she said, what is it there? So she came out. She had a little look. And she turned around and said, oh, it must be the clouds moving. That's why you see that they're moving. And I said, no. Just keep your head still. Look at the lights. And I'm actually moving, tracking them.
Yeah.
It's not an illusion where the clouds are moving. It's a bit like being when you have a car wash. I remember my mum getting very confused at one day because I went for a car wash with Dad, and she was absolutely adamant. She said, Peter, put the handbrake on. Put the handbrake on. The car's moving. No, dear, it's the car wash that's moving. So, but yeah, and I saw those, and they came in off the ocean. But at the time, back in the 80s. This was the 90s. Sorry, this was the 90s. I didn't have. This is the good part of social media. At the time, I didn't have anyone to tell about it. I'd be too embarrassed to tell anyone, like the police. They wouldn't want to know anyway. So that's why your group is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I often put posts. I mean, we've got say 1,100 and whatever members. How many of them actually post, of course, is minuscule. Most people just like to take a look now and again. But yeah, I mean, that is one of the ideas of us being there. We can talk. And I mean, it's not me. We have people there that are experts in many things. If you name something, we've got an expert there as a member. Quite often they attend the meetings. So, we can pass them over to that person if should they be wanting to know, I don't know, about cryptids or UFOs or whatever. I mean, my particular interest is more in the paranormal, although I've always been interested in UFOs. But I tend to lean towards paranormal. And yeah, I mean, you know, when you look at the UFO phenomena, and I know there are many different types of UFO phenomena, but some of them you look at and think, you know, it seems to smack of paranormal. You know, I mean, okay, so then we get on to the thing of, oh, they're coming in from a different dimension. Well, are they? I can't see any dimensions. I've not experienced any, so I can't really go with that one. And I know that you have a theory that I did read what you wrote. It
was long. It was long-winded. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and you know, are they created by the mind? Well, then you get onto the question of what is the mind. I mean, there's a whole evening's conversation there that could be discussed, isn't there? And let's just say that I like unusual things. I don't know why. I have no idea. It just kind of came in. It didn't just kind of came into my life. I had some quite powerful experiences actually that brought me into it, which I won't go into too much now. And, you know, just save it for another day, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean UFOs. I was in just to give you one example. I was in Rendlesham Forest one evening, and it was with a group of, I suppose, at least a dozen people. And as we met at Eastgate, and okay, this is quite a lot of years ago, by the way, and we decided to go away from Eastgate and go into the woods, which we did. So we're walking along and we're sort of chatting, you know, as you do. And now we're in the middle of the woods, and somebody said, "Oh, what's that?" And of course, all heads turned, and I looked up the top of these trees, and I suppose they're about at least 60 feet high. And I looked at the top, and I thought, "Oh, okay, I can see a car's headlights." You know the way your mind works. We're talking 60-foot tree. Oh, okay. Hang on, no, there are no roads. Must be a house. There are no houses. You're in the middle of the woods, you idiot. And I looked at this, and I saw this ball of light. Let's say that at arm's length, I don't know, size, let's say, of a tennis ball, maybe a little bit bigger. And as I watched it changed from white to red. Then it blinked out, and it moved. Well, then it reappeared to my right, only a little way away, you know, a matter of yards. And then it blinked out, and then it moved back to where it started off originally, and it was back to white. And then it just, with absolute silence, just drifted away, literally just drifted. But the one overriding thing that struck me was that it was conscious. Now, you're going to ask me, how do I know it was conscious? Well, the answer to that is I don't know it was conscious, but I really felt a total connection with that light. And the other strange thing about it was that I noticed it didn't cast any light into the top of the trees. Now, it was bright, and it was literally on the tip tops of the trees. How some you may know this, I don't know. Why was there no light shining down on the trees? As I say, the overriding thing was, well, the words that I got, I don't know how, were, well, I'm here because you're here. Make of that what you will.
Yeah. No. And that size of a tennis ball, you say?
Let me think. I'm visualizing it again at arm's length. Yeah, at arm's length. And bearing in mind that the trees, we were probably 60 foot away from the trees, and they were like 60 feet high. So that will give you an idea.
Okay. Well, I saw the same one.
When was that?
Let's have a look. Last time I went to Rendlesham Forest was around about, must have been back in March or April this year.
Oh, okay.
And I went to the Westgate, and a little further on, if you follow the fence line, you'll come to a old firing range. Funny old firing range, this one, because nobody knows who put it there. it's a firing range which also, I mean, I would presume it would be an army or air force firing range. No,
Mm.
no, it's not. No, but it's abandoned. It's not used anymore. And I was doing what I normally do, the cryptid hunting, and just like having a little look and seeing if there's any evidencing anywhere. And I was walking back to the car. I didn't really find very much, to be honest. If I don't find anything, I'll be honest about it. I don't find anything, and that's a waste of time on my part. But you know, there's no point in creating anything if there's not there. I'd rather just walk away and go, oh well, didn't get anything. That's it. But I was walking back to the car, and as I was, I then turned and spoke to a dog walker, and I was chatting with her, and lovely woman, beautiful dog, really nice. It's a chocolate Labrador thing, as soft as anything. And so I was making a fuss about it. Oh, hello. And then I got in the car, went back home, went through the footage because I'm kind of like loaded out with cameras. I've got a camera facing behind me. I've usually got a couple of small cameras facing front ways. I've got my main camera and a digital SLR as well. And I go through all the footage. It takes hours. And lo and behold, just before I met this lady, my rear camera picked up tennis ball size orb. And this orb was exactly the colour you mentioned. And it changed colour. And it was it wasn't a flare, simply because when you turn a camera, the direction of the lens will take with it the flare, or the flare will move off lens with the direction you're moving in. So it will move opposite if it's going away from the sun. So it wasn't a flare. It was actually an orb. And it looked like an orb, a tennis ball sized orb. And I got that on video and I stuck it on YouTube. One of many orbs that I found predominantly in forests and woods, funny enough. It was it seemed to emanate as I was talking to her. It was behind me and it seemed to come up, and it was, like you say, under control. It wasn't just the camera was fixed because I was standing there talking to her. This camera was behind me. I was just like standing there talking, so I wasn't moving. And it was sort of darting around. It was here and then it was there and it moved up to here, but blink of an eye, just moving along like that. And it just drifted off and went. But its light was continuously the same brightness, no matter what position it was in. Yeah. How funny.
And yet
I got it on video.
The lady facing you see it.
No, she didn't mention it. She didn't mention it. Now, whether it was because it was behind me, I don't know. But I'll post it on your Facebook page anyway, the video, just so people can have a little look and see. But yeah, that was a very interesting account I had. Another strange one I had was I was, believe it or not, a young man quite a few years ago, many years ago now, and I'm being absolutely honest here. Okay, now me and my mates, there was two of them. There was I won't name them, but we were buddies together, and I must have been about 19, I suppose at the time, and let's call him Steve, who was driving, and it was his mum's car, and we were chuffed to nuts. He was taking his mum's car out, and he'd always take his mum's car out. He was the only child, so he was a bit spoiled, and she had a Volkswagen Golf GTI Mark II, and we thought, what the hell, what the nuts? Can you imagine three young guys in that zooming about like idiots? Like, oh yeah, look at us. The girls are gonna love it. Anyway, girls really didn't take it. They liked the car. As soon as they saw what was in it, they were like, oh god, really. so we went to. I lived in Greenford at the time, Middlesex in London, just on the outskirts of London, and we took a drive up to Beaconsfield. And up over Beaconsfield towards like down the A40 way. It's famous because it's got a model village there, Beaconsfield Model Village, which is great for kids. But there's a high, like almost like a plateau where you drive up this country lane, drive up, goes up and up and up, and you park in this car park, and it overlooks. I mean, nowadays it would be a fantastic dogging site, I suppose, but back then it didn't really hear about any of that. And it overlooks West London. You could just see the twinkling lights of West London. It's lovely. And we went up there basically. Now, I'm being honest with everyone. We went up there so we could partake of some illegal smoke substances. So we were having some funny fags. And as we did, we were just like chilling out, as it were. I was in the back seat with my mate, and we were just talking rubbish, as you do. And what happened was, if you want to get that, it's fine.
Sorry, it's me. I shall turn
That's
the
all
phone.
right.
I will pass it to my gorgeous wife, who's looking at me and thinking, "What a..." Well, I won't see what she's thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who's he talking to? Who's he talking to? He's talking about stuff like that. So we were just talking load of nonsense really in the back seat, and Steve was at the front, and I was sat in a passenger seat in the back seat, the passenger side, which would have been the near side rear. And I looked across, and as I did, which was overlooking like London, very high up, I saw this light coming towards us from London, and it got bigger and bigger, and it was a greeny blue colour, and it came towards us quite slowly. I turned round to, let's call him David, in the back. Steve was in the front, David was in the back, let's call him that. I said to Dave, look, turn around, look, do you see that light? And he went, what? What, like where? And I said, just turn around, look, over there. He turned around, and he went, he said a rude word, hell. What is that? I said, I don't know. And as it got closer, it looked like a cigar-shaped UFO, very thin. As I say, blue-green in colour. Amazing part was, it passed the back of the car like that. As it did, the whole of the car interior just lit up this blue-green glow. At the time, if you can imagine, three lads, we just all looked at each other with our mouths open. What? And then we saw it go off and accelerated at such a speed and went off towards some woods. So it took us a few seconds, and Steve in front went, let's follow it. Let's go, let's follow it. So we decided to follow it. Of course, we couldn't keep up with it, but we went to the general area that we saw it drifting off to at great speed. And the only thing over there was one of these transformer stations, not a big one, but a small transformer station, which is enclosed in fencing, electrical one. And that was directly in its line. That's the only thing that we found. But when it lit up the car, that was amazing, David. Stuck with me all these years.
Well, you know, it's amazing how often light comes into ufology, into paranormal. I suppose I have seen the light. You know, that's another thing, isn't it? But you know, obviously, I mean, are you still in contact with the guys that you're in the car with? I know it was a long time ago.
Yeah. We one of them I think's passed away. But we were that struck with it. We all wrote it down at the time. We all wrote down. It said, look, you write down what you saw, I write down what I saw, and we'll give it to someone. But we didn't know who to give it to because we were so young. We didn't know who to give it to. I think now I think we all gave it. I'm pretty sure we all gave it to Steve's mum, who had the car. I think she had it, all the papers, because she worked for a government body at the time, not in any field of kind of. She worked for a job centre. But it wasn't. She had to sign the Official Secrets Act. She was a government body, so it was the only person we knew that was keep hold of it, you know. But yeah, she's the only one that had it, the paperwork of our accounts.
The Official Secrets Act. Was she allowed to tell people if there are any jobs available?
You have to, yeah. Evidently, work in a job centre, yeah. You have to sign the Official Secrets Act. Would you believe it? Back in the day, yeah, you had to. It was one of those things.
Yeah, I suppose it's guarding people's personal details, isn't it? Really. Okay, you mentioned Clacton, earlier on, and you had experience in Clacton. There's a place near Clacton, I think it's called Point Clear. Am I wrong? Well, I actually, when I was 18, I actually worked in Clacton, so I know it quite well. I worked at Butlins there, and it was an excellent place. Well, for the holidaymakers. Anyway, a friend of mine who I've worked with for many years and know very, very well indeed, and doesn't scare easily. It definitely doesn't scare easily. We used to work the county shows and fairs together, and at night we'd sit down and chat about things. He was a medium as well, a platform medium. And anyway, when he was a young lad, his dad had a caravan at Point Clear, and that's a big holiday sort of place in that area anyway. And my mate had met this girl who was a little way out of town, you see. So he'd walked along the sea wall there, and he had gone to meet her, and had spent the evening together. And now it's sort of getting quite dark and quite late. So he's said his goodbyes, good nights, etc. And he's walking along the sea wall, and all his explanation, what he said to me was that he looked down into this sort of field to his right, and really close was on the ground a huge disc-shaped object, you know. And he looked at it, and this is another thing that quite often happens with these things. He suddenly felt fear. The feeling of fear is quite common with these things. And he just jumps over the sea wall, and there was a sort of, I don't know, something that he could jump onto. And he squatted down and hid behind the sea wall, and he was like really, really scared. And all of a sudden he saw this thing come above his head and just fly out to sea. And that was quite a sighting. And as I say, the man himself, he wasn't too frightened of anything much at all, you know. But he was certainly frightened of that. And again, it's something. Actually, I'd known him for a few years, and we've worked together for quite a few years before he actually told me that. We'd probably had a few beers at the time, you know, chatting away about things. So that's again Clacton area. I mean, the whole area, if you look all along that coast, all the River Thames estuary, all the way down there, does seem to be what they call a window area. You know, UFOs are, especially many moons ago, they were frequent. You know, they were happening a lot. You were seeing reports in the Evening Echo. They don't seem to report UFO sightings anymore. I've no idea why. But they used to back in the day. They would report them, and quite often they would get hold of a member of I have to laugh at this. Sorry, they'd get hold of a member of Essex UFO Paranormal for an interview. I won't say his name, but he'll know if he watches this. What I mean. And the picture of him was always in the paper, like that.
Yes.
Thing you got to see the most of him was his nostril. Basically, there was always a picture of him like that. And in the end, he just refused to give interviews in the end because, you know, he would tell them what had been seen, blah blah blah. and they would make a sort of light-hearted taking story, you know, the way that it goes. I don't know if I mean, I don't look at the media. I don't look at newspapers much anymore, unless it's a crossword or something like that. So I don't really know how the media are going with these things these days. I mean, let's face it, we know what the media are. So if they're reporting it, they're promoting it. And if they're not promoting it, they're possibly keeping it down, or, you know, not interested. People are not interested enough. Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen in your papers or anything, any UFO reports. Are they being reported? Are they having the mickey taken out of them? Are they being taken as a straightforward story? That sort of a thing, you know?
Yeah, I think what tends to happen nowadays is more and more with the advent of phones and them being it's so easy now to upload to social media, and also to news outlets as well. And they, you know, if you get a good picture or good story to back up the picture, they will pay money online. You know, boom. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh, did you see a UFO? Did you? Oh, that's excellent. Have you got a photo? Oh, brilliant. Oh, you got video? Excellent. We'll pay you for that. Newspapers, they do run stories because they're still active. They're still, you know, they're still about. People do like newspapers. They you know, because it's tactile. It's something you can actually read and take your time and, you know, look at. It's something, you know, there. So you do get stories, and a lot of times you get them a lot more in depth than you do online. The last one was a cryptid story where it was a Bigfoot or woodwose that was seen in the South Downs, and that was in the Daily Star.
I was on the South Downs last week.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, that's a very nice area. Very lovely area.
I didn't see any cryptids, unfortunately.
No, when I heard about it, I rushed down and went to a place I know, Clapham Woods, which is very well known for a lot of witchcraft, satanic rituals, cryptids. It's only a very small woods, but there's a lot of paranormal stuff going on there. And I've done a video down there of the mighty beech. Those are little play on words. Mighty beech, a large beech tree, which is a sacrificial tree, and it's got tones inscribed inside it in the beech tree, witchcraft and satanic. Very interesting place, but I thought, well, you know, I can't cover such a wide area, but I think if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen in around that immediate area. You know, cryptid wise, because I do believe, like in portals, you know, a lot of people, like, they go instantly, oh my god, no, he's on about portals. 1 minute it's dimensions, next minute it's portals. There's no such thing as dimensions, Phil. There's only 4 dimensions we live in. That's it, you know, which is quite true. But portals, yeah, they do exist. There are portals, I believe. It's funny, you know, David, you know, when you talk about UFOs and then we talk about paranormal stuff, like with ghosts, I often see a bleed over. I often see, like, we were talking about the orb, and both of us were saying it kind of moves. When it moves, it kind of glitches. It 1 minute it's there, next minute it ends up over here, and then it ends up over there.
Oh, yeah.
When looking at paranormal and ghosts or spirits, you often get glitching. I find that you get kind of like the spirit will manifest and then disappear with no, as quickly as it arrived, it would just kind of like just dissipate, almost just like. And when it moves, it doesn't move linear. When you see a spirit moving, it won't move linear. It will kind of like glitch. You'll see it, then it kind of like fade away, then it will reappear at another end of the room. Do you find that?
Well, I was just going to ask you, are you talking about seeing with the physical eye or psychically?
Oh no, I'm not really psychic at all. No,
So
not
you're
really
seeing it
psychic.
with the physical eye, then?
I've seen more cryptids than I have any ghosts, but I have had a lot of ghost interactions. So um footsteps running in a loft above my head, running up and down. Okay, well, it was just a quick one. The Clacton on Sea, Chloe's Lane, this bungalow, and it wasn't particularly old. I think it was built 1950s, I suppose, 60s bungalow, that type of style to it. Anyway, moved in, and long and short of it, one of the first things to happen to us was it had a loft conversion, and its loft conversion was partial, so there was nothing up there, but it had been boarded. The floor had been boarded out. And what someone had done is they basically hadn't finished it. Now, you or I would probably put in some drywalling on the sides where the trusses go down to the very smallest part of the roof. Put some boarding up to make a room. That didn't happen. So it's just boarding on the floor. And at one end of the loft was a small UPVC window, only very small. And the only opening part was the top opening part, which would open at that. Yeah, and it had a stay, little lever stay to keep it open, and lockable, and had curtains and nets, which I found strange at the time, because the room, it's not really a room. Why would you have curtains and nets? Does it really matter who looks in? Because it's just an empty loft. It did have a light, so it had a bayonet hanging down and just a bulb fitted, and that was it. No sheet, no lamp, no lampshade. It wasn't a staircase. What there was a loft ladder. Invariably I would have to duck every time I pulled it down in case it hit me in the face.
I know that.
It's one of those lofts where I'd use this pole, and you use the pole and you kind of like prod the loft door up, and then it would release coming down, but you'd have to push it up first, and then it would release and come swing down into the hallway below, and then the loft ladder would you'd be looking at it, and you start to pull it. As you start pulling it down towards you, it would then start running down. The amount of times, my word. Anyway, so we went away to visit my sister, and my sister lived in Clacton Clacton. I lived at Clacton, so she lived in Acton, in North London. And so we said, we'll go down and visit her for the weekend. Stay down there, make a weekend of it. It was only me and my mum who went, because it was me and my mum that lived in Clacton. So mum said to me as we got into the car, she said, Phil, have you made sure that window in the loft window shut? Could get burglars, you know. I was like, yes, Mum, I did. I'll double check it for you. So I went up into the loft and I double checked it. Nothing else in the loft. I went to double check the window and I closed it. I didn't lock it with a key, but I pulled the lever latch down. I thought there's no point locking it with a key. She won't know. It's my bit of rebellion. Ha ha ha, Mum. I closed it, but I didn't lock it. So and I got into the car and we drove down. We drove down to Acton for the weekend. Came back on the Sunday, and I was unloading the stuff out the back, and I was like, "What's for dinner?" I was like, wondering, "What are you cooking, Mum?" Because she was a terrible cook, and I was wondering what the hell I was going to have. I was hoping it was going to be fish and chips from the shop opposite. But anyway, she then turned around to me and she said, "Phil, that window, why didn't you? I said to you to close it." I said, "I did. I closed it, and I didn't lock it, but I said I pulled the lever down, so it was impossible to open from the outside, Mum." I said to lock it. I said, but look, I closed it. It's closed. I even closed the curtains up and the nets. Well, the nets were up anyway. They you couldn't see, you'd have to pull the nets apart anyway because they're always pulled to. But the curtains I pulled to and closed the window. She said, "My God," she said, the window's open. I was like, "Well, okay, all right. Well, look, don't worry. Well, I'll go in. All right, I'll go in and I'll get I had a couple of air pistols. It's back in the day when you had the 177 air pistols, and I thought, if anyone comes, I'll stop. At least it'll make them jump." So I grabbed one of my 177s, and I kind of went over to the loft door was still up. So I got the pole and I flicked the loft, and it went like that, and it dropped down. And then it was all dark up there, and then I brought the loft ladder down. Now I have to tell you, it wasn't totally night. It was twilight-ish time by the time we got back. So it must have been about 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. It's just getting winterish time, but it's just getting dark really. So it was some sort of like light, and I brought the ladder down. It slid down, and then I tentatively climbed the steps up, put my arm through, really scared, put my arm through. I don't know, thinking back why I was scared, because no one could fit through that window. But anyway, it goes through your head that someone's in there, and I think Mum thinking that someone's in there put it in my head as well. But anyway, so I flicked the switch on for the light, and then it was just my eyes looking above the floor like that. Couldn't see anything. The window curtains were open, and the window itself at the top was levered up, and I thought, odd. So as I went up into the loft, I then looked across, and as I looked across, there was 2 birds on the floor, and these birds were white, almost powdery, as if they'd been there for years, but lying side by side with their wings like this across their chests. It's lying side by side. I didn't know what the hell to make of it then, and I said to Mum, she said, "You all right, Philly? You okay?" I said, "Yeah, Mum, you won't believe it. I just found some birds up here." She said, "They've flown in through the window." I said, "Yeah, but they didn't open the window." And she said, "They've flown in, bless them. Are they okay?" I said, "Not really, man. They're like almost mummified. They're white." I picked them up with a trowel. Yeah, it sounds awful, but at the time I didn't want to touch them, and I was like, "Oh." And I picked them up with a trowel carefully and put them into a cloth, basically, and wrapped the cloth up. But they left a powdery residue, a white residue, and I went down and buried them at the bottom of the garden, because at the bottom of the garden there was like a little vegetable patch, and it had a cast iron gate and a small dwarf wall which segregated it from the lawn garden, and that was like the vegetable patch. I buried them down there, but that was very, very odd. After that, that's when I started hearing footsteps. So I'd be in my bedroom listening to Eye of the Tiger doing press ups, trying to get big, because it was at the time when Rambo came out. Wow. And yeah, I love that film, and I was like, oh yeah, I could be like that. And I was doing press ups in my bedroom. I remember it distinctly, and as I did, David, it was I heard my bedroom light was on. It was after dinner, it must have been 8, 9 o'clock, and I heard this running in the loft, for heavy footsteps. At first, Mum came out into the hallway, because the way the bungalow's done is it's got a very large central hallway, and then it's got a door. It's a 2-bedroom bungalow. As you walk in the front door, very large square hallway, and then to the right hand side, 1 bedroom facing the front where the road is. That's Mum's bedroom, the bigger one. My bedroom is the smaller one, facing the front, the road. And then you've got in the hallway directly in front, you've got your kitchen, and then to the left you've got the lounge facing the back garden, and then to the right, directly to the right in the middle of the hallway, is the bathroom. Mum came out into the hallway. What was that? I said, did you hear it? She said, yeah. So it sounds like someone's up there. Went up there was no one up there. Yeah, strange stuff like that, you know. Had a lot of strange stuff there. Children's footsteps. Mum never told me about this till afterwards, and it was she didn't want to scare me, and she was coming out of the bathroom, and when she came out of the bathroom, she saw the loft hatch banging like this, up and down. And it wasn't until after I said, seriously? She said, yeah. Like, oh, crikey. But how can it? Because it's on a latch. But it must have been clicked off the latch, lowered, and then just banging like that. And she was like really freaked her out. But I wasn't there. I was out at the time. Yeah, lots of really strange stuff that had happened in that bungalow. But funny enough, UFO stuff as well. The sightings of those lights coming across the now Chloe's Lane, where it is a ways away from the actual seafront. It's more kind of inland. Chloe's Lane is. But it was that direction, the seafront direction. The lights were coming in. I'll turn this light on. It's a bit dark in it. If I can reach it now. Excuse me. Right. Hold on. Yes, there you go. I've done it. It's a bit dark in there. Yeah. So so I think they kind of like go hand in hand. Like I say, they kind of. I haven't directly seen a ghost, but I've videoed a ghost.
You videoed a ghost?
Oh yeah. On another one of my videos, what it was, I was cryptid hunting in the woods. So as I was looking around for things like structures, mainly, and any evidence that I can find, and as I was doing this, found a couple of structures. I thought, well, yeah, I'll have a little look at them, closer look, and then I uploaded the video in its entirety. I thought, well, and they were quite odd structures that I found. And one of my subscribers messaged me, and they said, Phil, just had a look at your video, and they gave me a timestamp, and they said, just had a look at your video, and I've seen something really odd. I was like, have you? And I looked at the timestamp, and I said, I'll check it out on the raw footage, because I always carry like raw footage as well. Try and keep it uncompressed as possible. So I had a little look, blow me down. There it was. It was 2 quite small figures. One was quite obviously a lady with dark black long hair, walking along, translucent, and you can see the tree behind her. And then there's another figure to the left hand side of her, almost like and they were dressed almost like period clothing in the woods. And I was like, blow me down. I checked the footage. I put it through some filters to have a little look to see if maybe it was something that I've caught a light anomaly. No. It was they were translucent, and they were quite clearly figures. So once again, I uploaded that as well onto the YouTube. And What else? Yeah, just all throughout my life, really. Lots of very odd, paranormal, ghosty,
Yeah.
UFO, lots of orbs. Oh my god, I saw a black orb once. Have you ever seen a black orb, David?
I've never seen a black orb. No, I've
Oh,
never seen. I've seen plenty of white ones. A lot of them, I mean, well, we're talking again. I have to say, are we talking pictures of or with the physical eye?
now I've got pictures and video.
Yeah.
Once again, it was by accident.
Actually, when we first started out, was something called GHE, which I'm a bit embarrassed to tell you stood for Ghost Hunters Extraordinaire. A bit
Oh, lovely.
grand, you know. Yeah. Anyway, they had a thing about orbs back then, and this was a few years ago. And the only thing I ever saw, well, not the only thing, there is footage of me somewhere on the internet, and we're in a pub. It's called the Anchor at Benfleet, and they had invited us in to, do a little thing there and see if there was anything around. But there was one piece of footage there. Was sitting down around the table. It's fairly dark, but you can see and hear us. And we're chatting away and chatting away. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody hit me, and I sort of went, "Whoa," like this. And you could see this white light shoot out of my chest and cross the room. If that was an orb, fair enough. What it was, I have no idea. Although sometimes I am aware that there are things around because I tend to get jump. I don't know why I jump a bit when they come close. And anyway, I was trying to find the footage just the other day, but this was so long ago that I don't suppose it's on there anymore. We all know that if you photograph a curtain and bang it, you're going to see all the orbs on the planet, I mean, people say to me, "Oh, you can see faces in them." Well, I can see faces in the fire, in the clouds, in the wallpaper.
Oh yeah.
My feeling on orbs. Oh, actually, we did actually film one once. That was quite interesting. We were at the Skirrid Inn, which is where the hanging judge used to hang out, and we stayed the night. Anyway, we saw this. We filmed this orb, which we didn't see with the physical eye, and it came along, and it went straight through the headboard of a wooden headboard of the bed and out the other side, and you could see it as clear as day. That's what it had done. What are they? No idea. Maybe years ago they would have said, "Oh, fairy, imp, whatever name that they gave to them back in the day." And with the big lights, I call them lights, that you and I have both seen in the Rendlesham area, would you think that they are a bigger version of those orbs or a different thing? I mean, most of the things in the world seem to be round, don't they? And yeah, I often wonder that are they a large version of the miniature ones that we see?
They are definitely. They are definitely. The reason that they're round is because anything which is round, the shape of a ball is the most energy efficient structure known. So if you were to create a spaceship, the most energy efficient shape would be an orb, because structurally its integrity would be equilateral all the way around for a start. That's why when you blow soap bubbles, they go into a circle. Circles more or less are formed because they are the most energy efficient. They just are, and that's, I think, the reason why they are the way they are. I've seen an awful lot of ghost hunters, and they capture orbs, and they're almost ethereal orbs. They're very hard to pick up and say, right, that's not dust.
Yeah, that's right. I think, yeah,
you know,
with me, the jury's very much out with me regarding orbs, you know. You know, there were a lot seen at the ironworks, weren't there, when we were there? You know, lots and lots of orbs. In fact, a guy called, oh, well, I won't give his name, one of our members, I was with him at the time, and in the basement they had a camera working, and he pointed over and went, "Oh, look, there are two orbs there." He wasn't pointing at the camera, he was pointing away. And as he said it, you could see them come across the screen of the camera. So here was a case of physical eye, camera, picking up the same thing. So then you have to start thinking, maybe there is something to this, you know, this orb thing. Do you ever wonder, I mean, you sounds like I'm interviewing you, doesn't it? Do you ever wonder, you know, that you, when you were a young man and you've had all of these experiences, and here you are today and you're making a podcast, which some may see, some may not, who knows? Do you feel that sometimes in life there is something just pushing you along in that direction? I know you said that you felt drawn, but there's being drawn and there's being pushed, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, very definitely. Absolutely, very definitely. Yeah. It's and I think what it is, it's almost I take it now to be it's, think of it as like an awakening. So I have experienced so much, I don't really I'm a little bit numb to it.
Yeah. I hate to confess, but I'm pretty much the same. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so many things and done so many things. It doesn't mean to say that when something interesting comes along, I don't think, yeah, I'm going to go and have a look at that. That sounds like it's something that's worth looking at. Maybe I'll grow up one day, you never know, and give it up altogether. But I think that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, no, don't grow up, David. Don't grow up. Don't do that. No.
No, yeah.
It is.
I was sort of, just to give you one story, I don't want to do too many stories, but I actually was always interested in UFOs and read the usual books back in the 60s, you know. Anyway, I had no interest in spirit or spiritualism, as we're sort of going into ghosts now. And one day I was driving to work. I used to work in Petticoat Lane, by the way. I was the man that gave a demonstration and clapped my hands and said, "The first 6 of you with your hands in here, don't be number 7, don't be left out," you know, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I don't know what that noise is.
That's another, a helicopter.
Oh, okay. They're after you. See, they're after you. Anyway, where was I? I was going down to
Petticoat Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh, that's right. And an announcement came over the radio. Oh, there'll be a meeting this evening at the Healing Hands Centre, Canvey Island. And I've never been interested in that sort of thing ever. And just suddenly, oh, I'm going to go there. So anyway, I went home and, you know, I did a day's work, obviously, went home. And my wife was there, and I said to her, "Oh, there's a meeting at the Healing Hands place tonight, which is the Women's Institute Hall." I said, "I'm going to go," and much to my amazement, she said, "Oh, yeah, that sounds good." And we'd never talked about these things at all, ever. Didn't know she was even interested. Anyway, I went there and sat down. I'm cutting a very long story short here, by the way. Okay. I sat down, and the minute I went into the place, I just felt, oh, I love this. I feel at home here. Don't know why. It was it was pretty much packed, you know. Anyway, the medium came up. They always seem to be about 28 stone with big floral dresses on. And I often wondered if their performance improved by size, you see. Well, this one must have been This one must have been a top performer. Trust me on that. Lovely lady, though, really lovely lady. And anyway, she pointed straight at me and went, yes, you're a healer, aren't you? And I, what? I said, sorry, you're a healer. Oh, okay. Now I'm embarrassed now because you're aware that people are looking at you. You say, oh, I didn't know what a healer was. Anyway, I cut a really long story short. I then went to half a dozen different places after that to see if I could find somewhere where they weren't completely mad. And in every single one of them, the medium would point straight at me and go, oh, you're a healer. I go, oh, God, here we go again. Okay. So anyway, in the end, I thought, well, let's go back to Healing Hands and see what happens there. So anyway, we went back, blah, 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 usual thing. Up gets the medium. Slightly slimmer, this one, so probably not as good. And she pointed straight at me and said, I see you're a healer. I thought, oh, God, we're off again. So anyway, the service came to an end. And I know that they used to do healing after the service, but obviously we didn't see that because you all went home. So as I stood up, I became aware that the lady that ran the place was blocking my exit, so to speak. And she said to me, what is wrong with you? So I said, what do you mean? She said, you know damn well what I mean. She said, you've been told in this church twice now. I'm thinking, yeah, and half a dozen times in other places. So I said, well, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I said, I don't know about healing. So she said, well, why don't you stay behind afterwards and watch the healing? Oh, wow, it's a chance to see something interesting. Yeah, okay. So I said to my wife, do you mind if we stay and I can watch the healing? So she, that's fine, that's good. So picture if you can, there's a rostrum, like a stage really, and this is where they pull the curtains round, and then the people that want healing come up one or two at a time, actually, go behind the curtain, and behind the curtain you have two chairs facing each other, a little distance apart, let's say 10 feet, and there's a man and a lady at each chair. These are the healers, one man, one woman, for obvious reasons. You know, you do have to be a little bit careful when you're dealing with people, obviously, especially if you don't know who they are. And they put a chair in the middle, but back a bit for me to just sit and watch. So I'm sitting watching this and thought, what's going to happen? Well, the thing that amazed me was that the healers, I'd seen them in the church earlier, and they were all sort of buzzy and chatty and, you know, full of beans. Now they were different. Now they had taken on a completely different countenance. Now this was their moment. This was their time, you know. They were going to do healing. And how does this work? Anyway, they started the healing, and I was sort of watching and thinking, not a lot going on here. They're just sort of casually putting their hands on the shoulders. And then all of a sudden I felt the atmosphere change. And I got this tremendous thumping right there. Bang, bang, bang. And it went harder and harder and harder. Then the throat, then here, bang, bang. Until in the end, I was being literally smashed apart from the inside. And the next thing, I'm off the chair, crash, I'm on the floor. I have gone completely. And I could just hear a voice saying, quick, get him away from the energies, get him to the back of the hall. And the next thing I remember, I'm sitting in a chair and somebody's giving me a glass of water, and I'm thinking, oh, glass of water, I can feel that. That's real. You know, it's kind of get some sort of reality back into things. And okay, so then Sheila said to me, usually, are you okay? You need to come back to our place and have a chat. So we went back to their place and had a chat. And their explanation, not my explanation, their explanation was, you have a healing guide. That healing guide is with you all the time. He's in or she, or it is in an environment watching healing, and it wants to heal. But it can only heal through the physical you to manifest that healing into this reality dimension, call it what you like. So therefore it's getting really exciting. And they say, I didn't appreciate the way it beat me up from the inside, but that was one of those things. So after that, I said, well, I'll think about it. Yeah. Okay, I'll go on a little bit longer with the story. I don't want to bore you too much. I used to also, as well as I then changed over, and I was actually now working on a Sunday market at Whittam Market, which is a nice little market out there, just off the A12. In those days, I'd played a bit of rugby, and I'd been sitting in cabs a lot, and my knees used to get really, really painful. When I say painful, I mean excruciating. And I would get in a vehicle and I could maybe drive it for 5 minutes, and it was agony. And so I'm driving in my old Ford Transit loaded up with whatever. I think it was a car polish I was demonstrating that day, something called MER, where you set fire to the bonnet and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I was going down the A12 and I'm in agony. And I suddenly just shouted out, I'll have to use a word, if you want me to be a healer, bloody well heal me. And as I said it, this energy came down through my body. I felt it physically through my body, down my legs and out. And I never had a problem with my knees afterwards, ever. So that convinced me to start doing healing. So that's an experience, one experience of many. But it kind of makes you think to yourself, maybe there are outside influences that operate through us, but whatever. It convinced me, let's put it to you that way. It certainly convinced me.
Yeah. Do you find yourself in your life, do you find yourself in situations where the chance of coincidence is just extraordinarily common, just unbelievably common?
I don't know about unbelievably common. Yeah, I've had coincidences in my life. I can honestly say nothing that I would go as outstanding. I mean, going back to the healing hands thing, I did have a problem because I was living in a haunted house at one time. This was long before healing hands, before I went there. And I was taxi driving then, as well as doing other things. And this was having this problem in the house, and a guy got in. He was not elderly. He was elderly to me then because I was younger than he was, probably 60 odd. And for some weird reason, I never talked about these things because I didn't know anything about them. And I said to this guy, "Oh, do you believe in ghosts?" And he went, "Well, why do you ask?" I said, "Well, we've got a bit of trouble." Oh, he said, "I happen to be the president of the Healing Hands Centre." Bear in mind, this is years ago. And I said, "What do they do?" And he said, "Oh, all sorts of things." I said, "Well, can you help?" And he went, "If you get a further problem," he said, "come back, come to this Healing Hands," which I never did. And he said, I'll come round and sort it. So anyway, I went in and saw my wife was there. And I said to her, I met a man today. His name's Ron. And he runs apparently a spiritualist thing. Oh, yeah, she said. What's that? I said, but apparently he can get rid of, problems, ghosts. So I said, I'm thinking of getting him round. Well, she said then something that since then, and being involved in doing the same thing myself many times. Oh, will he make it worse? Will he make it worse? I thought it can't get any worse because it was a bit grim, Saley, but I'm not going into all those details now.
Yeah.
And I said, well, look, I tell you what, if we get any more problems, I'm getting him in, and that's it. We never had a problem after that day.
Okay.
Why? I have no idea. And then it was years later when I finally got to the other part of going to Healing Hands that I explained to you earlier, that it turned out that it was his daughter that was running it then. And I told her about this. Oh, was that your dad? Yeah. And she said he probably went home and did it from there. As casual as that, as if it was like, oh yeah, we'll have another cup of tea. just like that. He probably did it from there. And
Okay.
yeah, in my mind, he probably did. Just a story. Just a story.
Can I ask you something? Because I don't come across that many healers in my life at all. I wish I did really, because I've got a dodgy hip. I'm waiting for a hip op now. But so if you know of any spare hips going about, then I'll have one.
I haven't done healing. I haven't done healing for years, because after that, life, I can't go into it all because there's so much. After that, other things came into my life and took me onto different routes. So
Okay. Can I ask you? When you were doing the healing,
yes.
I wanted to ask this: were you at the time, or did you have a devout religious upbringing? Did you feel that when you were healing somebody, that because it's doing good and because you're making someone feel better and curing them, did you have a feeling that it was a divine power coming through?
A divine power. I wouldn't recognize it. Oh, actually, no, I can't say that because I've experienced. Okay. A divine power. And I don't know. Energy is energy. A divine power.
All right,
Yeah,
put it another way.
yeah.
Put it another way. Did you believe in God at the time?
No. Not
Atheist?
at all. More pagan, I guess. Nowadays,
Right.
more Wiccan. But no, I didn't believe in God. Like all kids, when I was young, you all went to Sunday school. That was it, Basically, I realised it was to get you out of the way while Mum cooked the Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
religious God, no, absolutely not.
Okay. I'm just trying to ascertain, when you get that feeling, when you had that feeling, I know you don't do it now, but when you had that feeling, if it was the feeling running through you into somebody else, was it at all because you're doing something good, was it a divine feeling to you, or did it help you as well? Did it make you, after the fact, did it drain you, or did it make you feel better yourself?
Well, that's very, very interesting question. So maybe I'll move on a bit with the story then. Did it drain me? Okay. I've been doing healing at the Healing Hands because by now I see Yoko do it and I was helping out, And by the way, I didn't manage to grow anybody a new pair of legs or arms or make the blind see, but people certainly got something from it, even if it was only the comfort of being close to somebody, I think, because a lot of people live on their own. So there's lots of different types of healing. Anyway, I went in there one day and it wasn't a service or anything. People were sitting down at tables having a cup of tea. And I sat down and I was speaking to somebody that I knew there. And suddenly Sheila came up and said to me, she said, there's a lady that wants to see you. I said, oh, okay. She pointed to the back of the hall. And there was this elderly lady. I would imagine she was in her 70s. I'm older than she was now, and I looked at her, and it was quite odd because some people have presence about them, and you could see that the other people in the hall were very aware that she was there, but none of them actually went up and spoke to her. I have no idea why. Anyway, she said, well, anyway, she wants to speak to you. Oh, okay. So I went up and said, oh, hello. She said, hello, my name's Lily. Sit down. A cup of tea. Yeah, lovely. And I thought, well, this is a bit odd, Like she's going to ask for a bit of healing. So she said to me, I do healing at my home. She said, but I'm getting a little old now and I need someone to give me some energy to help me with the healing. I thought, well, how the hell did she hear about me? She's never been to this church. So somebody's obviously told her. She's turned up. She's obviously very well known by people, but maybe considered a bit beyond the pale. So I said, yes, of course I'll help you. I will get to the point in a minute. You mentioned tiredness, okay?
No, it's fine. I'm fine.
So anyway,
Interesting.
I said that would be lovely. You could say that today she would probably be known as a wise woman. Let me put it to you that way. Probably would have been burnt as a witch back in the day. So anyway, she said to me, "Oh, there'll be some ladies coming in, and we'll give them." She said, "But you don't have to touch them." She said, "You just stand behind, about 3 foot behind, and give me some energy." So okay. So anyway, first lady came in. She sat in the chair. And all of a sudden, the weirdest thing, I felt enormous, huge. And I could hear this woman going, "Oh, what's this behind me? What's this behind me?" And Lily said to her, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine. He's just giving you some energy." Anyway, so we then went on, and I gave energy. She did healing to about 5 or 6 women. And she was quite strict. She wouldn't take any nonsense from her. She wasn't a lady that you argued or messed with by any stretch of the imagination. And at the end, I did about 3 times, once a week for 3 weeks. And I got there one afternoon, and I said, "Oh, Lily," I said, "I don't know what it is," I said, "but I feel absolutely clapped out when I go home. I am knackered. I have to sit down for an hour." "Oh," she said, "silly boy, you think the healing's coming from you, don't you?" I said, "Well, isn't it?" "No," she said, "it isn't from you. It's through you. You," and I heard this again from another brilliant teacher I had, "you get out of the way." Important. You get out of the way. And once I got out of the way and just stood there, I didn't feel tired again. It was fine. So she was a wise woman. She was a clever lady. And she taught me, she did mention to me, "And don't you think it's you doing the healing? Your ego," she said, "they'll block you and stop you if you're like that." Because, when you first start, you get the old ego, "Oh, yeah, perhaps I am. Oh, this is good, isn't it? Actually, or me, somebody, we're about to be a healer." You soon get over that, by the way. It takes about a week. But, she was one of the very interesting people that I met in life. And you talk about coincidences. Somebody came to our club, Essex Youth and Paranormal, plug. And it turned out that she had nursed Lily when she was dying. And I thought, well, that's a bit of a coincidence, chatting. And she'd nursed Lily. So, lesson, it ain't you. You get out of the way. That's for me. Whether it worked for you or anyone else, I don't know. So there's
okay. So what are they that's going through you? Did you ask her? What are they then that I have to allow?
Quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care. Once you put a name on it, you've stopped.
What do they feel like? What do they feel like? Is it just that?
We were saying they. It's an energy, and I think after a while you kind of get used to it. You can get.
I didn't say they. I didn't say they. You said they.
Sorry, and you can feel heat. You can feel cold. It varies on what you. Sometimes nothing at all. Nothing.
Okay.
And the reason you feel nothing, the person doesn't need healing. I went to. There was another strange one I went to. There was people that lived on Canby Island, and they told the centre, and the centre wanted to send someone to do the healing. So Sheila's given me an address, and she said, "But you might find it a bit odd." "Oh, why is that?" "Well," she said, "when you go there and you're giving the man the healing, he will sit, he's got a big mirror on the floor, and he'll sit looking in the mirror." "Oh, okay, well, you don't ask questions, you go in, cup of tea, thank you very much, do the healing, yeah, sit there." And sure enough, he sat with his eyes wide open, staring into this mirror, staring into the mirror. and I'm doing the healing. I can feel energy coming through, you know. Anyway, this went on for about 5 sessions, so 5 weeks.
Hmm.
And one day I went there, and he said to me, "Oh, do you think you could give my wife some healing and not me?" Oh, yeah, of course I can. Not a problem. Bring her in. I hadn't actually seen the lady before. She always sat in the other room. So in came this lady, sat in the chair. She didn't sit there with her eyes open, staring in the mirror. So I gave her the healing. That was it. Thank you very much. Off home I went. Next time I went there, he's back in the chair with the mirror. I put my hands on him and, oh, I said, "You don't need healing." And he went, "That's right. I'm okay now." And it took me ages and ages, because obviously that was it. I didn't go back again, to realise that for some reason it was the woman that needed healing in order to heal him. Why? I've no idea. As I say, you don't ask questions. You just do the thing and keep your mouth shut. So that's a sort of strange kind of story.
And they were both, they sort of sat down and just stared into a mirror.
He did, she didn't. She only had the one healing with me. He was always sit there, literally rigidly staring into this mirror. Why he was looking into a mirror, what he was looking for, I have no idea. And as I say, it's nothing to do with me. I'm there for one reason only: transference of energy. Do the best you can, and you go. And yeah, that's it. Never used to spend a lot of time with people, just because I had quite a busy life then. I had 2 kids to bring up, you know, a house to pay for. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Thank you. Excuse me, just being offered a glass. Is that water?
It's water.
Oh, it's only water. Sorry.
It's vodka.
Do you know what? Not had a drink now for probably 4 months, 5 months. Just stopped. No reason, just stopped. Really strange. Perhaps I'm getting purer. Or purer.
Well, I must admit, I gave up drinking years and years and years ago. Can't do it. Just can't. I think with my sort of progression that I'm going through, it just doesn't. It really doesn't agree with me at all. Drink. I don't.
No.
I can't drink at all. You know.
No.
I think because it takes it out of me for about where, you know, as I get older, where I used to sort of have a good session and then get up the next morning, go off to work, and a bit fuzzy, but not too bad. Now, I can write off at least 4 days, 3 to 4 days. You know, and that's just on, you know, 1 pint probably.
I mean, I did used to drink quite a lot, you know, a lot. I could easily do 3/4 of a bottle of scotch in an evening, no problem. But then just gradually slowed down, and it just kind of stopped. I was the same, oddly enough, with meat. I'm now vegetarian, bordering on vegan, but vegetarian. I'm not totally strict. I will eat cheese and eggs. But the strange thing was that I started off with beef, and somehow it just seemed as if I was chewing it forever. You know, I went off of beef. Then lamb started tasting strange to me. I stopped that. Pork, never really ate a lot of pork anyway, but no. And then finally I was down to chicken. And at the time I was doing a lot of Indian type cooking, you know, different dishes. And chicken goes with pretty much everything that's Indian, so not a problem. And then one day I went over the road and bought a chicken and brought it in and opened it up, cut into it. And I used to have a little butcher's shop at one time for a little while. And you know when an animal's been killed correctly, and this one wasn't. It had obviously been still mostly alive when it was. And I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? I can't do this anymore. And I just put that thing in the freezer, and there it remained for a long time, until in the end, I think I gave it to my wife's dog to eat. But you know, it's funny how these things come along and happen. It wasn't no decision, or I'm going to be giving up meat, because it's a good thing to do. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. It's food. We need food to live. And don't get me wrong, if I was hungry, I would not only eat it, I would kill it myself, if you really needed food. But yeah, these things do kind of go out of your life. And as yourself, with the drinking, yeah, well, you feel that it's helped you at all, not drinking? Has anything changed?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I honestly do believe it's. I feel better for it. I also find that my skin's better. But mostly, I have more. I see more. I encounter more since I stopped drinking, which is odd. I encounter an awful lot. But when I was drinking, it was almost like in a haze,
When you say you encounter, are you talking about things spiritual, spooky, or you observe
just creepy stuff and weird stuff. All right, for instance, taking the dogs for. I took the dogs for. I've got one of them here on the bedroom. Yeah, she's on bed at the moment. I took them to the vet. So I took them for a WALK. So I took them to the vets just to get their nails done and get them weighed and checked, because they're getting on a bit. One's 13, the other one's 12. So, and little things like this. As I was walking along, I saw a guy, and this guy was like walked past me, and he wore very distinctive clothing. If I remember rightly, he wore jeans, t-shirt, strange designer's t-shirt, and like this jacket, weird sort of jacket he had, like a bomber type jacket thing. But he also was carrying this satchel, like a leather briefcase come satchel, and he was walking along at a fair old click. I passed another guy, and it was the same guy, and I turned around and I saw the first guy. Second guy.
You've gone.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a glitch in a matrix. What happens? Yeah. So he was. So basically, they were walking apart some distance. But when you look back, you can see that their steps were identical. Left, right. They were carrying the same identical leather not briefcase, it was more satchel, really, one of these like kind of trendy satchel things over the shoulder. Identical clothing, identical hair, and identical gait, things like that. And I thought, I didn't get it on film because I had the dogs on the lead in both hands, and I was like, bugger. I encounter things like just recently I also have like growling. So I'll get quite often I'll go into the woods and I'll get tree knocks very often. That was a Ruby, good girl. Tree knocks, like a growling. I remember being in Camberwell Cemetery. I got it on video, and I put it out there, and I said to people, if you can understand what this EVP says, let me know. Because when I heard it, I turned to the camera and I said, it sounded robotic. It was like a robotic voice, and it said, as I understood it, it said, "Phil, go now." And that was just before I saw this werewolf entity come out from under a bush and just cloak out completely. I got that on video, which is brilliant. I have seen like with orbs, I see them very regular. and not just the ones which look like specks of dust, proper orbs. That black one I saw, and I got it on video, it's reflective. It's a black, it's almost like a cue ball.
That's
But when you see
unusual.
it dancing around, yeah, you see it dancing around. And when I first went into the woods, I was like videoing, and I saw this flash, and it was just like a flash. And I set the video up on real time, and you can, it's like a blink of an eye flashing just like this throughout the woods. And I thought, God, that's odd. Went over the footage, slowed it right down, and it's this black orb, and it's dancing together with this white bright lit orb. They're dancing together, interacting in the woods. And then the orb does a funny thing. On one frame of film at 30 frames, this video I took was 30 frames per second. On one frame, you can catch it where it stops, and it looks, it multiplies, and it ends up looking like a abacus of different height black spheres in the shape of an abacus on film. And I got that in a single footage photo. But I've got the whole video. Odd stuff I get. Oh, the dogs, we lost 2 dogs, Molly and Bailey. Molly, my missus hears, I hear in the house, jumps off the bed, because I built this bed myself. Because the price of beds is ridiculous. They wanted like 200-300 quid for a bed base, and I was like, well, you know, we wanted a timber one. I thought, I'm not paying that, I'll just make it. So I got some nice wood, and I made a bed base, but it's slightly higher than what I wanted, really. I got the measurements from, so I made a special lovely ramp which the dogs can't slip on. And because they've only they're Jack Russell Terriers, so only got short legs, so they can come up the ramp. Anyway, when they go down, you can hear it go bang bang like that as they go down. Very often, here we're downstairs watching TV, and you can hear Molly, distinctive sound of Molly coming off the bed, down the ramp, and then downstairs. My missus saw when I went off to bed, because I had an early start one morning. I had an early night. I said, right, I'm going to go off to bed. Yeah. And oh, sorry, we're going to go off to bed. And as I was going up the stairs, she shouted after me, Phil, Molly's behind you. I was like, what? Turned around, nothing there. But she saw Molly. She was a German Shepherd coming up behind me. I've seen her rump. You can't mistake her. She was a greedy gut. She was going into the kitchen. I sat in and she's gone into the kitchen, her favourite place. Yeah, I saw the arse end of her going in the kitchen. So it's a everyday event, I would say, more or less, with different stuff that happens.
Okay.
It's that often.
Do you do anything to develop that side of your nature?
No. I'm basically an observer, if you like. I don't develop it. I have an awful lot of only thing I would say probably I do develop. I try predominantly to communicate and help werewolf or dogmen, cryptids. I've seen them quite a lot, and I kind of like try and learn more and more kind of, I'm not scared of them anymore. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But I try and develop some kind of relationship with them. I do that, yeah.
So maybe you go into the woods and give them a little gift that you leave behind, something like that?
I don't gift. No, I don't gift. When I go into the woods, 9 times out of 10, they'll know I'm there, and they'll make their presence known. How that will be like, they'll be behind me, and I'll turn around and I can actually see them. I can see the stark, shapeless shadow, the eyes. I hear them. I hear like the growling, very, very deep, almost like infrasound, almost very deep, can feel it in the chest. That's not all the while, that's sometimes. But yeah, you often see them. And there's different types. You get type 1, type 2, type 3 dog, man, creature. Type 1 being a quadrupedal kind of old shook. Used to hang out at cemeteries. Looks like a big dog. Yeah. Caught that on video as well. There was one where I was with my dogs in the afternoon. I was walking down a local wood, usual path, and my dog sort of freaked out a bit, and I thought, oh, here we go. And I looked across, and there was this very distinctive outline of a large, black, very pointy-eared, almost Alsatian-like dog just sat there looking over us, completely black, sucking in any light around it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm.
Well, that is extraordinary to see that. I mean, some people see UFOs, some people see ghosts, and you see cryptids. Is it a matter of seeing what you're expecting to see, do you think?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. I don't, not so sure. I mean, there is a biocentrism which believes that biocentrism is that we self-project what we see. We basically in our mind we emulate what we want to see, and we see it. We create it with our mind. Makes sense. It makes sense on one part. I mean, taking it on a lot of people bang on about this, whether it's think of a video game and you're an avatar in a video game, and the room you're going to walk into isn't created yet because the memory to create it would be so large and so taxing on a processor. It only creates the room that avatar or character is in at that time, else it's just a series of random pixels. With us, people have said that it is just basically a random mass of atoms and molecules and photons and quarks and whatever else, which only take form into an object or place or room when it is viewed by us.
I think that's been shown scientifically, hasn't it, with the double slit experiment?
Yeah, it had.
It happens when somebody's observing it. Apparently, it doesn't happen if there isn't any observation taking place. So that would kind of suggest that whether we know it or not, we absolutely do help to create our environment and the things around us. I mean, you asked me about was I religious, and that sort of thing. I said no, but I have actually been in a garden full of people with a woman staring up at a tree and proclaiming that the Virgin Mary is up in the tree, and all these people were looking up, and all this sort of thing going on, and I couldn't see anything. But in her world, in her reality, she could see Mary up in the tree. Why up in a tree? I have no idea. I don't know if Mary was a bit of a tomboy, but that's where she saw her. And that I was just walking down the road on Canvey Island, and I happened to look into this front garden, and all these people were there. So I just went in to see what was going on, and that was what was going on. So, to have your own reality is not such an unusual thing, really.
It is. There's certain things that we can't really explain. It's like in the have you ever been in a situation where you just know someone across the room is looking at you, and you turn to see them, and you just know they're looking at you, and you see them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
there's a word for it. I think it's Scoposephia. Anyway, if anyone's watching, they want to put a comment on and they know what it is, then yeah, that's 9 out of 10. If they haven't Googled it, that's 10 out of 10. But there's a actual word for it. Even in ambush scenarios in the army, they always say, right, okay, if an enemy is passing close by you, do not look at the enemy. Look down at the ground. If you look at the enemy,
okay, I didn't know. That's interesting. That kind of makes an awful lot of sense, doesn't it? So you could go on from there and say, well, if we've got all these guys flying around in these machines up in the sky, can we feel them looking at us? I'm not too sure on that one. Are we being observed? This is the thing. There are so many. I mean, one of my teachers, I've had 3 really good teachers in my life, fortunately, and the 4th one who opened my eyes. He just believed basically that your belief system will manufacture and materialize in this reality, So that makes us extremely powerful if we can control. I always say to myself, look, if you believe something, you've now stopped learning. Belief is a full stop, end of. You're not going anywhere from there, So I do try not to believe that. I know it sounds crazy. I try not to believe things, just to go along with them. Just a little thing that I've worked out in my own head, in my own reality.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't believe, so if you believe in something, you then that would be like a closed book, because you believe in it, and then that's a closed book, and you won't be open to anything else.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that clearly with some over-religious people. They're not going to move on to anything else. Everything that happens, they explain, well, it's God that did that, and blah, blah, blah. They're not going anywhere from there, are they? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong in having religious belief. It's probably a wonderful thing, and certainly not wrong, as long as you don't use your belief to decide to kill other people because they don't share your belief, obviously, which is what seems to happen with religion. Actual, I like to say, okay, well, this is true for me at the moment. At the moment, it's true. And then you must have found this as well in life. You think you've found the truth, yeah? I mean, if you're on a spiritual search, I've got a handle on it. And then something will come along and go, you're completely wrong. And oh, my God, I've got to start again now. Forget that idea. Let's move on to a new one.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's with religion and spirituality, it's like it's a difficult one. I do believe in a God. I mean, it reminds. I always like the old Monty Python sketch. There's got to be like the song. There's got to be someone intelligent up there, because there's bugger all intelligence down there. So.
Yeah. One of my very favourite songs, as it happens. I love that.
That's brilliant. Yeah, because we're standing on a planet. Yeah,
traveling over 1,000 miles an hour. I love it. Love it. Some of the best writing ever. Monty Python.
Oh, brilliant! Way before their time.
Oh God! Yeah. Before their time. Can you imagine them trying to bring it out now?
No, impossible, wouldn't it?
No chance whatsoever. Absolutely none.
Can you imagine, even with 40 towers as well, with when he's slapping Manuel on the head nowadays?
Yeah. What about the nights we walk up and down in the dining room in front of the Germans? I think I'll go away. This is so blatant. I think that they only made a very few of those programs, but it seemed as if there were a load of them, but there weren't actually that many of them made.
No, no, there wasn't. No, not many at all. I think Faulty Towers, there was only 2 series,
Yeah,
2
it's very,
seasons.
very, very short indeed. And I
Yeah.
think, I know we're getting a bit off the subject really, but I think the man's a perfectionist, John Cleese, and he's a bit like Ricky Gervais, you know. Okay, I've done that. Now I'm going to put it in the wardrobe, leave it there, and I'm going to find what my next thing is and work on that. Yeah, I don't quite know how we got onto that from belief, but
No, well, it's good to, that's the thing. I didn't want this to be an interview. I just wanted it to be really. So when it goes on to like your page, I'm going to be posting some stuff on your page, and it's just nice just to let people know where I'm coming from, and it's just like a chat, catch up with you, just having a chat. And just bouncing some ideas around. And I don't think that hurts. I think it's a good idea. Pardon the pun.
And I'd be glad when it's over because I can go and take the makeup off then. I don't always look.
Yeah, I have noticed. I have noticed. Yeah, it must have taken. I'd say all of 2 minutes.
I've actually been. I've been diagnosed by the doctor. He's told me I need to take ugly pills. So there, what do you think of that?
Boom, boom.
Hey, maybe it's time to call this to an end, eh?
I think that's a good idea. Listen, thank you everyone for watching. And sorry it didn't pan out quite the way that we were hoping it was going to pan out, but hopefully I'll get it a bit more polished next time with Facebook, and we can then get it straight onto the page as well. But as for this, I think it's a good idea to wrap it up. And David Hobbs, thank you very much. Can you please mention also the page and any clubs or YouTube channels you have?
Yeah, well, basically, as I say, the club that we have is Essex UFO and Paranormal. We're in Westcliff-on-Sea in Essex. We do have some absolutely brilliant speakers. Our next one is, memory. Andy Thomas. I don't know if you know Andy Thomas, but he is a very sought-after speaker. We've got Richard Vobes coming along. We've had various people. We've had Piers Corbin. In fact, I can honestly say this is not a porky pie. Years and years and years ago, before I was anything to do with it, actually had David Icke down. And, so what I aim to do, we're not profit making. We don't do that. So what I try to do is get the best speakers possible and make sure that they don't go away empty-handed, because this is what they do for a living. It's their time, etc. And if they have a look at our site, Essex UFO and Paranormal, on the Facebook page, that is, they'll just see what goes on. Events and things we list at the top of the page, which for some strange reason people can't seem to see on a phone. They can see it on a laptop, but not on a phone. No idea why. Not technical.
Okay.
So yeah, come along and meet us. The biscuits are excellent, and we've sorted out some decent coffee. This is the important thing.
That is very important. Yeah. How many ones for a hobnob? Yeah.
Hey, are we talking chocolate hobnobs here?
Oh, chocolate hobnobs! Oh my word!
They should be banned. They should be illegal.
Aren't they? Yeah. I know, they're terrible, aren't they?
You know what? Yeah. Do you know the way they serve cigarettes now? I think pretty soon they'll be serving hobnobs like that. You know, do you have any hobnob? Oh, I'll have a look, and they'll open the cup.
Yeah.
How old are you? Well, I'm 78. Okay, you can have just the one packet.
Yeah, that's it. We got it out the back in a plain wrapper.
Hey, we can stand on street corners and guys come from hobnob. There you go, Buff. Off you go. Hey, do you know what?
We're good.
I think we're onto something here. I think we're onto something. We'll have to
Yeah,
work.
who cares about paranormal? Let's just
Hobnobs are the thing. Come on. I'm going to say goodnight to you.
yeah, no worries. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much indeed for coming on.
Well, thank you for talking to me and putting up with me.
No
take
worries.
care.
And hope to speak soon.
Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Cheers.